you are a human, you experience stress. Stress is a very normal part of our daily lives. In previous videos, we've talked about the natural hormonal stress response, stress hormone called cortisol that naturally rises and falls twice a day. But what can happen in the stress response is we can become overstimulated, and that overstimulation is also here to protect you. We have acute stress, which I describe as like you're driving along the road and maybe a dog or an animal or maybe a person jumps out in front of you and you just slam on your brakes. You feel it in your whole body. Your heart's pumping, something catastrophic almost just happened, but you're able to recover from that stress really quickly because it didn't. There's also chronic stress. Chronic stress is the type of stress where we feel unsettled. You don't ever feel like you get a chance to just relax, deep breathe, feel like your breath is easy, feel like your heart rate is normal and easy at a resting pace. Instead, you feel like you're on edge. Maybe you have emotional liability, quick to anger, quick to reactions, quick to fear. When we have chronic stress, it's really important that we come back to our basics. Healthy movement, healthy eating, healthy rest, good authentic connection, and that we're hydrated. When our basic needs are met, our ability to have resilience to stress is significant. Stress can manifest itself in many different ways. Your work life, your professional life is intimately tied to relationships outside of the home and also how you earn money. Many people experience financial stress simply because without it, we feel like we can't survive. With financial stress or work stress, we can often carry that home. It can affect our sleep, affect our food choices, etc. I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's also something called the ACE score. ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And there's a lot of research and evidence right now that suggests that depending on what your ACE score was, that can dictate what your metabolism does as you get older. ACE scores do have a significant impact on how our bodies respond to stress. And this is something that you can learn to overcome and process with our guidance and sometimes with professional help. For example, my binge eating episode that I described, I have an ACE score of 5, which is actually quite high. So what can happen when we have an activated ACE score, it means that our thoughts, our beliefs, our attitudes, and our resilience to stress can be diminished. So if stress is a part of all of our normal lives, what can we do about it? Number 1, I recommend awareness and recognition. Some of the ways that I've learned to recognize stress in my own body is how easy it is for me to breathe. Now currently, I might be experiencing a little bit of performance stress. I'm trying to recite these lines, recall the information that it is that I want to convey to you, our listeners, and I'm also being observed by multiple cameras, multiple lights, and 2 people in the room listening to me. As I'm in this experience, I'm having to call on my resources, both internal and external, to maintain a sense of balance. I need to pause, take breaths, and not feel rushed in this process. I need to be mindful of how I'm sitting in this chair, and sometimes I even have to pause and take extra breaths in between takes. I feel this way sometimes when I'm giving a presentation in front of a room at a conference. All these eyes on me can really activate a stress response. This is called performance stress, and not everybody likes to be a performer, and that's okay. Outside of this environment, this type of stress that I have created for myself, performance stress, we can also experience emotional stress, relationship stress, work stress, and financial stress. In those cases, relying on our deep breathing, feeling seated, and breathing is also really important. So once you identify where your stress is coming from, then you can also start layering in healthy coping mechanisms. For example, in preparing for this video today, I stayed up a little bit last night, only an hour past my normal bedtime, to make sure I was prepared to present the content today. Being prepared for any type of performance really helps reduce my anxiety. The other thing I did is I made sure that I prioritized my sleep last night. I drank warm herbal tea like chamomile before bed. I made sure I didn't have any distractions, and I made sure that I woke up at a time that gave me a good 8 hours of sleep last night. This morning, I made sure that I didn't drink too much caffeine, and that I've been nice and hydrated and ate a nice protein meal for breakfast. By taking care of my body, I am now in a position to have a better stress response. Another coping strategy that I really enjoy is creating enough spaciousness and leisure time in your daily life. While this contradicts sometimes this work stress and this pressure, especially this financial need that sometimes we have, oftentimes we get this impression that we need to work harder. But the reality is, in order for perfect balance to happen, which is really impossible, perfection is not possible, but in order to feel balance and move energetically from one state to the next, our ability to create spaciousness around leisure and relaxation is really important. So I've actually scheduled myself plenty of breathing room in this morning in preparing, and this afternoon after all this is said and done. So what we're doing is we're creating a scene of flexibility, our ability to show up with resilience in a stressful situation, and then our ability to recover from stress. It's really important. Through this process of awareness, identifying where our stressor is coming from, and then creating healthy coping mechanisms, now you're better prepared for the future. You can still be present in the present moment, but now you're in a position to better recover from future stressful events.